Hey everybody, I'm Katarina from Sustainably Rooted, and this is where we bring sustainable living for you and your home in a way that's sustainable for you. If you haven't already checked out my other channel, if you already haven't checked out the other videos on my channel, please take a look and like and subscribe. That helps us reach more people, get the word out, and share just how we can be more eco-friendly in our environment. Today we're going to be going over our back to school series. We're going to be going over our clothing options, and even if you're not going back to school, this is a great video to watch and just see what ways can you change your wardrobe, how can you help your kids with their wardrobes, and in a way that's more eco-friendly but also sustainable for you. So we're going to go and get started. So the things I want to talk about today are going to be like the why, very briefly. Why does that matter? What are ways that we can save you money and save your time, and then some very specific companies that we can go through. I'm going to break this down into 6 R's. So the 6 R's, if you haven't already heard, are rethink, refuse, I always forget that one, rethink, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. So those are your 6 R's. So I'm going to go through it because it's kind of like a hierarchy. And the first one is rethinking. So when you're doing back to school shopping, rethink how you approach that. Rethink your traditions and the reason why. Are you just, most of the time people are doing it just because that's what they always done. That's what their kids are asking for. That's what everybody else is doing. And you don't have to do that. So rethink, what is a different tradition that you can do that maybe isn't consumer based? Can you do a donation drive? Maybe it's a clothing specific donation drive. Can you declutter and go through your current wardrobe and just find new ways to use things? Maybe you have like a sewing club and you can find, repurpose and upcycle some different clothing options within it, and that's kind of maybe your thing that you do. Maybe it is what's called a clothing swap, which we'll get into in a little bit. And I know a lot of the fun is with your kids, and so involving your kids in the back to school process is really important. And maybe that's where a clothing drive is maybe a really fun one for them because they're giving back to their community and seeing that. So rethink how you do back to school. The other one is refuse, and refusing is, again, just the main one is really refusing the sales, okay? Refusing the social norm of you don't have to go back to do back to school shopping. Your kid doesn't have to have brand new shoes at the beginning of the year when they already have 5 or just 2 decent pairs of shoes, or 1. They have shoes that are good, then they don't need to go back to school shopping for new shoes. I personally would rather create a kid who is aware and to become adult that's aware of when it is appropriate to buy something brand new to help them be cost effective and to be better, not just, replacing things just because it's replaceable. So I would rather teach my kid how to actually navigate that appropriately. So definitely refuse those back to school sales. The best way of saving money is to just not buy it. So no sale is better than not buying it in the first place. The next R is going to be reduce, and reduce does mean reducing what you purchase. So for those of you that aren't quite ready to dive into these other options that I have for you down the road, I definitely would encourage you to reduce what you're purchasing. Most people leave stores with an abundance of clothes, and when they get home, you do feel an overwhelming feeling of laundry that you have to do, and you have to be the person that's cleaning it, whoever you are in your household. And so really reducing what you're purchasing. Do you need 25 shirts in your wardrobe? You already had 15 and now you bought 10 more? You probably don't. Do you need to have a raincoat when you live in Arizona? Probably not. I mean, you have to just be really aware of what you already have in your wardrobe. So shop your home first before you go out and purchase. Create a grocery list, but for your clothing. Get your kid involved of what things do they notice that they need in their wardrobe that is lacking. Not what determine the difference between want and need. And it is okay to splurge every now and then, but being aware of what you're doing is really crucial. I definitely recommend before you get to the checkout stand, put your clothing out and take a look and see what you have. Like, take a moment to break. before doing that. Or maybe shop the store prior, like look online before you get there, so you have an idea of what type of ones that you want to do, so you're not caught off guard, and it saves you some time when you get there, especially with kids, because you're going to be trying to race out that door when you're done shopping. So shop your home first. Okay, so going into secondhand, I got like my little notes here. The next one is reduce, reuse. So reusing what you already have, maybe you upcycling what you already have, you mend what you already have, you're reusing something for a different purpose. Think about that too when something you think it's done. For example, your pants have a hole. Can you mend that hole and create a patch on it? Can you cut them and mend them up to be shorts? Really, things like that is part of it. Reusing is, of course, purchasing things secondhand, and that goes to the clothing swap idea that we had earlier, was that you are getting together with your friends with like kids, or you can do this for yourself. I love doing this clothing swaps. It's a great time to just hang out and talk and socialize, but you also have clothes set out, and you can really shop free. So you bring your clothes, you grab your own bag, you grab the items that you want, and then you leave. You have the option of either donating, somebody can collect it and donate it and go through that. I hope to make a video on how to host a clothing swap, or how that works down the road. But for the most part, clothing swaps, look it up. It is a really cool idea, especially for kids who go through clothes so quickly. So eBay, we've definitely purchased a ton of clothing items on eBay, especially the shoe specific, like snow boots, or a snow coat, or whatever, backpacks, things like that. We've purchased on eBay. Electronics we've purchased on eBay. Facebook Marketplace, your buy nothing group. Definitely look at these secondhand options first. In my area, there's not very many clothing, kid clothing consignment stores. There are a couple adult ones, but it's really hard to find kids ones. So look at, what is it called? Just Between Friends. That's what it is. So Just Between Friends is a national, from my understanding, they're national. And they do host some different events throughout that are secondhand. And you can also give to those as well, so that you can make money off of selling your kids' clothes. Garage sales, you can host a garage sale, things like that. The last one is there are companies out there that do upcycling with clothing, and there are some that do kids' clothing. So check out your farmers markets, look on Instagram, see if anything there's local, keep an ear out. Ask around and see if other people are interested, or find somebody in your area that maybe does sew and that might be interested in mending some of the clothing that you already have. So yeah, hopefully those are great ways to just save money. Those are really all these great ways to save money. Zero waste and eco-friendly, does not have to be expensive. Now, the next thing I'm going to go is into recycling, and some of these options for clothing are a little bit on the pricier side. They range significantly, but the difference here is quality, fair market, paying their workers fairly, safety measures in factories, and using resources that are sustainable and actually good for the planet. So you're paying for what you're getting here. It is not as cheap as a $2 Walmart shirt. I get that, but it's also going to last you, and you know that worker was paid a fair wage. So be aware of that. The other thing I just forgot to mention real quick is, when you're going to recycle things, if you're going to recycle or donate things secondhand, then you should be willing to purchase those items as well. I mean, think about it in your way. Would you be willing to buy what you're donating or what you're using? Then yes, then that's the same with other people's things. And anyway, that's a whole different rant. So let's get into the companies. Okay, so this one I'm just going to mention, but there are companies out there. We have a local company called 512, F-I-V-E 12, the number 12. And they create their products from recycled materials, which I think is really cool. I think they only have an adult line. However, I mean, for older teenager kids, this would be a good option. They are more on the expensive side because, again, all the things I listed, quality, the materials, the manufacturing, and the fair wages. So all of the companies that we list are thinking about those things. They're B corporations, they're first 1% planet, carbon neutral. These other companies are also going to be, they're also going to have mission statements, so keep an eye out for those. I mentioned this all in the supply video as well, but those are ways you can tell this is really an more eco-conscious company, and you can really invest in that company, invest in what they're standing for, and invest in some quality clothes. TenTree is another one, TenTree, T-E-N-Tree, and they create adult clothing, but also kids clothing. They have a lot of natural, like 100% wool, 100% cotton, things like that. And some of their things are recycled. Like I have a hat that's recycled wool. It could be, they plant 10 trees every time that you purchase items. And they're reasonably priced. I've definitely would encourage you to look here first because they definitely have some reasonable items. A company called Pact, P-A-C-T, and they, again, have a adult brand and they have kids as well. And again, same thing, they have really great options that vary significantly, that have cotton, 100% cotton, 100% wool, fair trade, fair wages, things like that. So that's a really great company to also look into. Mate is the other company that I'll mention, and same thing, they have adult, they have kid. I will note that they do have maternity. I believe this is the company that has maternity wear, pretty sure. So check them out. They're one of the companies I said has maternity wear. I'll put it in the comments description once I figure that out. But the thing I like about them as well is they have a recycle program. So you can actually send your clothing in and they can recycle it properly and help keep it out of landfills, which is awesome. Firebird is another brand. They also have a, what do they call it? A pre-loved program. So you can be a part of that pre-loved program by actually sending in clothes once they're used, or you can purchase used clothes on their Firebird website. So which I think is really awesome. Same thing, all the things I've already mentioned, the B Corporation, 1% for the planet, all those things as well. Then there's Primary. Primary, although doesn't have as many of those really cool things as before, they do really do a great job with gender neutral clothing, and they categorize based off of the topics, not the gender, which I really appreciate. And I also appreciate that they are more neutral patterns and they're just really good baseline things. They do have, I know for sure kids, I don't remember about adults, I'm pretty sure adults as well, but I really look for the kids in that section. I will mention, if those of you that are interested in kind of that gender neutral type thing, there's this company called Princess Awesome, not necessarily an eco-friendly-ish company, but it is a small business, women-owned, and they make very high quality clothing that aren't usually represented. So things like dresses that have unicorns on, oh sorry, that's not what I'm talking about. Dresses that have dragons on them, dresses that have math, that have different STEM things, bugs, insects, like trucks. Those stereotypical boy things are in that girl category. And they also are doing it for the boys as well, where you have like unicorns on boys t-shirts and things like that aren't just girl fit. You parents out there you're aware of the unicorn shirt that only is in the girl section, but your son really loves unicorns. Ugh. So, those are, for the most part, those are them. I should have said this at the beginning, apologize, but I'm not sponsored by any of these wonderful brands. I just want to get the information out there to you because it is hard to shop. All of these are online companies, so you can shop from your phone. Their return policies are very generous, and you are, they'll work with you. They're talking to you. They care about you and the environment and people. So they're smaller businesses that are having big impacts. So definitely check them out. The last category is rot. And the only thing that I will note for this is clothing is very hard to be compostable. But if you're using natural ingredients like wool and natural fibers like I don't know how to say rattan. Anyway, that, like a strawish material. You're using materials like cotton, then it is easier to be put back to the environment, to be composted as well. And they're renewable resources. So, and when they do break down over time, they're not breaking down into microplastics and getting into the water as microplastics. And that's a whole nother video in itself. So let's talk about my final remarks. So shop your home first. Definitely see what you already have. Does it need to be mended? Can you mend it? Do you know somebody that mends it? Things like that. Shop your home. Just stop buying back to school clothing in the first place. You don't probably need it, okay? If you've shopped your home first, you'll realize that and create a new family tradition for your household for this back to school time. Check secondhand. There is so much options out there, and there are people that are so willing to give their kids' clothing away. Definitely check there first. And finally, check out all those sustainable brands that I mentioned. There are really great ones out there. And if you have more, please put them in the comments below. I would love to hear all those wonderful kid brands that you have, especially if you have a secondhand kid brand. I would love to see that or hear that. And that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day.